So next up, podcast listeners, we have the dumbest bill in America. And do we have a lead up? Mr. Producer, here it is. And it's the dumbest bill in America. And it is forced sterilization, a 3-child limit. Yes, you heard that properly. Forced sterilization, a 3-child limit. Put in, the bill is, by Pennsylvania state legislator Christopher Rabb. Christopher Rabb is the state legislator who has put this in. So in the Daily Mail, quote, the Daily Mail newspaper, male Democratic lawmaker Christopher Rabb proposes legislation to force men to have a vasectomy once they've had 3 kids or when they turn 40 in response to Texas's abortion law. A male Democrat lawmaker from Pennsylvania is proposing that all men be forced to have a vasectomy within 6 weeks. Within 6 weeks of having their 3rd child. Oh my gosh. And by the way, there's a $10,000 fine if you don't do it. So Representative Chris Rabb introduced the satirical legislation, which refers to men as inseminators and grants a $10,000 reward to private Pennsylvania citizens who report violators who wrongfully conceive a child with them. It also codifies the definition of wrongful conception to include anyone who demonstrated negligence toward preventing conception during intercourse. As long as legislators continue to restrict the reproductive rights of cis women and trans men and non-binary folks, there should be laws to address the responsibility of men who impregnate them, he tweeted about the proposal. Rabb, the legislator, created the bill as a rebuke of Texas's restrictive abortion law, with some of his descriptive directly paralleling it. Texas rolled out SB 8 on September 1st, which banned abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected on an ultrasound. So in other words, Rabb is saying that if you have more children, he's going to get Texas back by giving you a vasectomy as a man. And that's the same thing as being pro-life and wanting children who are clearly alive because they have a heartbeat to be born. I'm not really sure I'm following you there, Chris Rabb. I will be introducing a bill. This is Chris Rabb, his tweet. I will be introducing a bill inspired by Representative Kelly Cassidy that requires all inseminators to undergo vasectomies within 6 weeks of having their 3rd child or 40th birthday, whichever comes first. And so then he puts, my forthcoming bill will codify the definition of wrongful conception. Then this legislation will allow Pennsylvanians to take civil action against inseminators for unwanted pregnancies. Last, the bill will empower Pennsylvanians to enforce this prospective law by offering a $10,000 reward for reporting the proper authorities those scofflaws who have not complied with this statute within the allotted time frame. Yeah, so there you go, Christopher Rabb. So if you want to know more about Christopher Rabb, here he is speaking just a week ago to a group of individuals in his district. And these individuals all wrote books, children's books primarily, to indoctrinate children. And Christopher Rabb is Black. He is speaking about a number of things, CRT, which he's for, and this defines who Christopher Rabb really is, because you know the old MLK statement that we should judge people not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. In other words, MLK, Martin Luther King really wanted a society where people were colorblind, right? Not Christopher Rabb. No, this guy wants you to look at people by their color and judge them accordingly. Here he is, in his own words. Listen.
That's what we want. When someone says, oh, well, you know what, I'm colorblind. I'm so sorry. I'm pro-color. Listen, if you're colorblind, you can't see people of color.
Yeah, so if you're colorblind, you can't see people of color, which is the exact opposite of what Martin Luther King had envisioned in our society. He wanted us to have a society that was color blind. You couldn't see the person's color because you were so interested in them as human beings and in the content of their character that everything else just disappeared. And so this is the modern Democrat Party, which tries to weaponize race, right? So this is the same guy that also put in forced sterilization and a 3-child limit. I mean, because he wants there to be as many abortions as possible. And he has said so. He's like, yeah, abortion is really important, including for transgenders, and literally he tweets this out there, which of course is another subject that we've tried to cover on Mark of the Millennials too, is that the Democrat Party is so unhinged, which is another reason, podcast listeners, why they're losing so many voters. Because the Democrat Party actually believes that men can get pregnant. And they're so angry at Republicans for saying that when a baby has a heartbeat, it's a baby, it's a human being, it's a life, which of course it is. It's kind of self-evident because there's a heartbeat, that at the same time, he's so mad at those people who are Republicans in Texas. He wants to force you to be sterilized and at the same time have a 3-child limit and at the same time say that men can get pregnant. That's your modern Democrat Party. And that's the dumbest bill in America.